Something is very wrong with Kingpin, and this is confirmed as a bug. Well, for this particular reason, it's not completely like doom and gloom for the champion, but there is a confirmed bug. When are Incursions back? Well, sooner than you think. Ascension. Is it all about Magik and Quake? And Kabam issue out another ban wave similar to the end of Battlegrounds. We've got the scoop on this. Let's have a look. No Deadpool this week, although he is there. I'm feeling like I'm going to snap into action. Oh, by the way, I love this because we've got a little bit of darkness at the moment in the UK. And I'm recording this at night time. As I can't get my hand in. Why can't I get my hand in all this? Anyway, let's got my little pinky. Very British. But we've got to snap into action. We're not fully snapping into action. Ah, my fingers. We've quite literally got tons of things that happen in the community. Stuff where even whilst I was preparing for the MCN, I did a story that had to be covered about the questing side of things. We've also got a issue when it comes to an exploit. There's tons of stuff going on. I'm not saying I'm struggling to keep. I'm trying to keep up to date with all the kind of like news and stuff going on. But look, we've got a cool little show for you today, and then there's going to be a video probably in the next couple of hours that's just going to go into some other stories, or one particular story, which is a big one about potential exploits. Going to be interesting. Right, but first of all, we have got to talk about some general information and news. We kick off with Gladiator tier requiring Strantonian crest enter. This has actually been resolved at the point of recording this video. You might be kind of going like, okay, well, there's the difficulty right there. And then it's a case of like, okay, well, trying to access that. It's saying that you need a crest it's required to go into, but this particular player was saying, I had a crest to go into, or I was able to access it. Or it's not overly clear so much about it. But of course, a lot of people are just rushing to get stuff done, which is like, oh, well and good. It's like, well, what are you doing now? There's no Battlegrounds. Incursions not back, which we're going to talk about in a minute. You must be an arena grinder if that's what you're itching to do. Maybe, you know, it depends on the player to player. But in any case, a lot of people have 100%ed the event quest and as well have done the Paragon Gauntlet. Fair play, but it's like, well, what are you going to do for the rest of the month? But in any case, Kabam Jack says, thank you for bringing this to our attention. The game team is aware this is working at and make the correction. It should be fixed shortly. So that was as of yesterday, I think it was. But yeah, like, and it's actually been resolved. It was resolved same day. So yesterday was resolved for that one. So that's good. Good news story. And now on to Incursions. When are Incursions coming back? Now, as a lot of people pointed out, the Incursion solo objective, it begins on the 16th of September. But that is a little bit of a way away. Is there any better news for that? Yes, there is. Funnily enough, on the 11th, as confirmed by Kabam Jacks, Incursions will return on September the 11th. That's always a bit uncomfortable saying that, to be honest. You always know where you were when saying that. In any case, that's when it's going to return. Yeah, so that is good. I think this is good news for it to return a bit sooner, just because it helps that those players that have been rushing around and like, I've done everything. Well, go and do some Incursions. Oh, but I was waiting for Battlegrounds. Well, that'll come back at some point. But yeah, like the Incursions were back on that particular date right there. So yeah, that gives you a bit of an update on that situation. Now let's move on to Ascension. Bit of an interesting one. Something that I do want to point out to people is if you haven't spent on your Ascension yet, do be careful. You may be in a stronger position than you might think. The reason being, and the reason I say that is, I would advise people just to ascend the one champion, not two champions. Save your primordial dust, or at least enough for it for the end of the year, or Cyber Weekend, or stuff like that. Depending on if you're able to, number one, select the champion. You could select a champion that you really like and then ascend it. Not saying you have to do that. Some people are sending some, different champions. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But I would advise people is that when you come to things like the Banquet Event 2023, Kabam have already said a new trophy champion is coming into it. Now, throughout that particular event, say you get lucky with your greater Banquet Crystals, if the Banquet Event returns or is referred to that, then you will get yourself, say you get yourself a 5-star version or a 6-star version, and it's a good champion. And you might want to ascend it. Not saying you will or won't, but it's a case of like always having something waiting so you can have that consideration. The same way that I would say, like, you know, save dust for something like the Cyber Weekend, Cyber Weekend, yeah, Cyber Weekend, because you may pick up a 5-star for the first time, 6-star that you really want. You get to select it and you ascend it. So that could be an option right there. But in any case, something that's really kind of caught my eye is the inspiration from players to ascend certain champions. And I ain't hating on it. I think it's absolutely fine. Ascend who you want. As I said, I've done many bits of content about Ascension, some guides for it, a tier list per se of that. So yeah, it's up to you on what you want to do. People have done Ghost Rider. Fair play. You know, Jax. I ascended Weapon X. Do you know what? I think that's a solid idea. And the reason I think it's a solid idea is if Jax doesn't get us throughout his MCOC career, not at Kabam, but his MCOC like account, does a Christmas-based event and never picks up a Weapon X of 6-star rarity. Yeah, he could pick it up a 6-star rarity, but there's such a low percentage to do that. There's a better chance that he'll pick up a 5-star, which he has. Then I rate that because I think that's it. And as he says here, I am happy with my choice. I felt like it would be unlikely to get a 6-star anytime soon, and he's Wicked Defender. Yeah, I think that's a very good. I don't know why people disagree with that, because it is such. If a Kabam employee is telling you that there's a low percentage to get a 6-star, then come on, like that in my opinion is logical. I'm sure that obviously people disagree. The two people that disagree is like they obviously have a difference of opinion. Please state why in the comments, because I just don't see it, because it's a case of like you can't select the Weapon X. Weapon X is a very rare champion to get. Getting a 5-star is more of a chance to get, and getting a 6-star version is less of a chance to get as well. It could also be a good kind of like jumping off spot for a lot of people that got very lucky with the Banquet Crystals in general. But in any case, I digress. I did with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Interesting, you know. I can't knock it. Choose who you like. But yeah, I've seen. Do you know what I did? I think I made a mention of this, but I didn't kind of like put as an option because not a lot of people have this option. I think more people have Weapon X's than they have Ultron Prime. Yeah, so I've seen some people do Ultron Prime. Like that was a surprise, but you know, each to their own with who they choose. As I've said, you know, we've done with a tier list. There's some really kind of cool options, but largely use it on champions. Ascend them if you're less than likely to pick up any higher rarity. As I said, for me, I am tempted or was tempted to do Nick Fury. If I was to go anywhere, it would be a case as soon as I get the amount of dust, it might be like, okay, well, I'll do Nick Fury, and I just have to see what happens to Cyber Weekend. I just have to see in my next crystal openings. I'll just have to see. And that's the thing, I'm going to wait for a little while, do some openings. If I get him, great. I won't need to do any Ascension and probably wait on it. But we have to see. Time is a factor. Time is a healer. Time is luck. Now we need to move on to a bit of a serious situation, and that is changes to Kingpin's regeneration rate. So, saw this a couple days ago and wanted to follow this thread until we had a confirmed answer from Kabam on it, because it is something that's very important. As somebody that, like myself, I don't run certain things. I don't run Suicide Masteries. I don't run certain masteries which kind of like see this a lot more regularly. Then there's something to kind of, you know, mention. And I think this might have come from the update that we've seen these particular issues. So here's part of the ability from May, which is base regeneration rate is set to 50% instead of the normal 100%, immune to all poison effects. The modified regeneration rate, like set poison, obviously that's a nod to stuff with Suicide Masteries. Okay, but what else? Well, I think this is this the one that's pointed out? Oh yeah, so it says base regeneration rate is set to 40% instead of the normal 100%. That's, yeah, it's different by 10% right there. So it's something that has been noticed. I don't know if Kabam would like on the sneaky trying to like do something. As I said here's to clarify the issue from the game team. Kingpin and Daredevil were using the old regeneration rate lock tech that were used for the conduit tactic, which famously caused a lot of bugs. As such, I updated to our new tech, but after a delay to get other tech in so it would match behavior exactly. Unfortunately, in that process, I put 0.4 in both Kingpin and Daredevil Hell's Kitchen's code instead of 0.5 in one and 0.4 in the other. Short version, I typed 0.4 instead of 0.5. We are working to resolve this issue. It should be shifted soon. I'll say it again, we don't make silent nerfs. We do, however, make mistakes. Silly typo. Happy to clarify this. So it gives you an idea. I mean, look, that's the thing. I do appreciate that from Kabam. They literally said, you know, we made a mistake. Because here's the thing, and people will go, oh, no, shouldn't be making mistakes like that. Like, at least they owned up to it. You know, a lot of people will go back through Kabam's back history and go, have they ever owned up to a lot of, like, issues? Or have they cared about seeing a lot of issues through? And it's questionable. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. In this case, they owned up to their problem with this one. But, yeah, what else? I mean, look, it would be nice. I just saw like what Cat Murdoch said about this. When I accidentally typed Daredevil to be 0.52 while you're at it. yes, that's good. That's good. I don't. No, I'm not going to read that out. I was going to read something else, but it's a bit divisive, and I just thought, nah. We got an answer on this one. It's like, look, we'll just take it here. There's no point rubbing salt in the wounds. It's just a case of like, look, we got an answer. Yeah, I appreciate that, like, you know, this was seen through. You know, it's sometimes very good to see, like, you know, Jax and Mike in the forums in doing this interaction, which I've definitely seen over the last 24 hours to 48 hours, which is really, really key, because there's been issues, things that players aren't clear on. We need answers. We're getting answers. Fantastic. Keep it up. And now I want to move on to bans. Has there been a bit of a ban wave? Well, it is very much kind of like debatable on that one. I've definitely seen, like, you know, a few threads about this, and very interesting, like what this all stems from. When, like, is it just a bit of a purge time? I don't know how Kabam are kind of looking at this, but definitely some bans were kind of like, you know, put out, whether it's to do with Battlegrounds, whether it's to do with something else. Very, very interesting. So this particular one is a fresh one, and this player says, has this happened? My account was suspended for 7 days for account sharing. When I asked how this happened, Kabam refused to share evidence. I have an old account, and I also play with, so I suspected that might have triggered it since logging to the device when I am out and about. Since Kabam refused to share information, I just let it go and just play with my alt. Today my suspension was over and I logged into the game. Since I missed 7 days of the double track, I purchased +7 so I don't miss out. Yada yada. My only explanation for this is that I used an Android phone when I am out to the house to play, and an Apple iPad at home. I log in out of my account with the Apple iPad. Anyway, you get to the point. Yeah, they're banned. Like, there seems like there must be more to this that meets the eye. And Kabam Mike said, no, this is not why you're banned. We do not ban for having 2 accounts or logging in and out of an account. If your account was banned, it's breaking our terms of service. We're not going to investigate the cause of your ban in the forums. Yeah, it's a lot stricter. The other situation of the ban, another player talking about a ban, was a request. I'm feeling very bad after this. Please, I apologize for that. Forgive me. This time I shall never do this again. Kabam members, help me. I'm playing at this after a very long time. Please, dear Kabam, help. I don't know about this. Not quite sure. There's not kind of any kind of further details there on that one. But yeah, I've seen many of these little ban things and breaking terms of service. Look, don't break terms of service. Play as cleanly as possible. Sometimes Kabam do make mistakes on these particular ban situations, but most of the time it is a case that something has happened. Something has triggered up. I also would kind of stress how you've appropriated your account in the first place. If you are using an account that has an origin that you don't know about, then that could create red flags. Some people say that's absolutely fine. A lot of the time, do bear in mind, that could create red flags. Your Joe Blogs, you have an account in Norway. You give access to that account to somebody in New Zealand. It is not going to go well, and it's going to raise some flags when it comes to Kabam's monitoring system. So do bear that in mind. You can use VPNs, but that might not help. It is something you will have to just make sure you are creating your own account in your own location, playing on your own account, and at the same time know how that account started. If that email address is not associated with you in any kind of way, you didn't set it up, you could create some red flags. There's lots of layers to these situations, which sometimes hard. Kabam do make mistakes, but it's a very small percentage where they're wrong in kind of like these situations of, you know, bans. But in any case, that is it for the show, and we'll leave you with arena predictions because I didn't do them on Wednesday because they weren't available on Tuesday night when I made the show. So yeah, predictions wise, I'm going with 80 mil for 6-star Xerxes. It's kind of similar to a Karnak arena recently, except for this is a bit more because Xerxes is actually a pretty good kind of defender and champion in general, attacking. Xerxes a 5-star, 25 mil, kind of makes sense. 6-star version of Viv Vision. I'm going with 30 mil, again similar to an Ant-Man Future Arena recently. Could be putting in a bit more, but I think 30 mil is fair. 13 mil for the 5-star. That's the predictions in a nutshell. Thank you very much to everybody that supports the channel as a YouTube member and as a Patreon. Also on twitch.tv/RichTheMan live, the streaming service and stuff where I sadly don't have as much time as I used to do streaming. I do, and I will get back to that one day. In any case, thanks for watching. Check out some other content located on screen. Lots of stuff to come when it comes to the side quest. I'm getting there. There's been a lot of news and information to go over, so come back to the channel to be updated, and we should be up to speed next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.